Thank you for tuning in to the Student Organization Summit. Make sure to follow us on social media and check out the many other videos on this channel about working with and advising student organizations. And now, please enjoy your workshop. Hey there, and welcome to our workshop on creating action plans for struggling organizations. My name's Adam. I am from the University of California Riverside, and we created about a year and a half, 2 years ago, we created a system called the Blueprint for Success. So today, I'm going to outline what that looks like, how groups can opt in or choose to be part of this program, and then what it looks like for us to create a plan for them to get wherever they're going. So that's kind of what we're going to cover today. I will be in the chat, so if you have questions during the workshop, I can answer it then. And then we'll have a Q&A afterwards, so you can reference the schedule to get that Zoom link. So let's dive in. To start us off, I wanted to give a brief overview of the University of California Riverside and what our campus is like. We have just over 25,000 students consisting of both undergrads and graduates. It's an incredibly diverse campus with over 500 student organizations. We manage all of these groups on our engagement platform, Engage. Now today, we are talking about this Blueprint for Success. We're in our second year, so now let's get into logistics of what that looks like. This program is a voluntary opt-in program for any of our student organizations. When they opt in, the group will self-identify areas that they want to improve in. For example, the group might tell us that they struggle with membership, either with recruitment or retention. They also might say that they aren't able to fundraise enough money to really do the things they want to do. While they may bring up topics that they're struggling with, they may also bring up new ideas that they don't quite know how to tackle. We're a cultural group and we've never done a culture show or a performance night. We want to create a mentor program for local high schoolers. They might list an idea or something that they aspire to. Because the program is really helping groups to up their game, there are 4 different types of groups that we typically see apply. We see groups that are struggling to stay afloat, but the president or maybe another officer cares enough to try. We also see groups that were complacent and baseline with a new officer that is driven to improve the organization but doesn't quite know how. The third thing that we didn't quite expect to see was an influx of brand new organizations. They have the passion and the interest, but they need the support and guidance to make the group succeed. There's a fourth and small type of group that we see, and that's groups that have gone through some sort of traumatic incident together. We had a group that is revamping the organization following hazing charges with our student conduct office. We had a group that lost a lot of members because of a toxic and harmful past president. They're trying to come back and re-envision what the organization can be. Let me be clear, all of these organizations, these types of organizations, are perfect candidates. So here's what happens. We promote the program starting late summer, maybe a month or so before school begins. We especially target the leaders of student orgs, as they'd be the ones to really execute whatever plans we help them create. They are the ones that fill out this form. Our form begins with a small explanation and telling them that this may be a year-long process. We don't just give them a plan and send them on their way, but this typically requires quarterly in-person meetings to review and, if need be, revise the action plans that they're given. So we have 2 required checkboxes here: that they understand that there may be follow-up meetings, and that if they choose to stop showing up or stop engaging, we may bump them from the program. If a group is non-responsive, this program isn't meant to be a huge burden to the organization advisors on your team. They then fill in the contact information and how long their club has been around, if they even know. We then get to the important questions. We've got 3 boxes that all ask about areas of growth. They should explain what they're trying to address or change. If they can only list 1, they may not need a year-long program, but maybe you can send them resources. But if you see that they've got multiple larger issues to tackle, you might think they're a good fit for the program. You can also tell a lot by how in-depth they answer this. Do they know the route to success, but just need help? Or are they oblivious to the cause of their problems? Following those 3 boxes, we ask if there's anything else we should know, for example, incidents in the near past we should be aware of, or additional things they might need help with. They then submit the application to our team. And then each advisor looks at the applications that are pertinent to the groups that we advise. So for example, if a fraternity filled out the form. The advisor for fraternity and sorority life would look at that. The advisor for rec sports would look if a club sport submitted an application. We divvied up that way. And then we actually create a plan for them. We create their blueprint. Let's look at an example so you can see how we tackle this. We have a template document that we use. Let's say this organization wants to focus primarily on recruitment and retention. Maybe this is a brand new organization that just doesn't know how to do this, especially in a virtual setting. We as advisors probably know the best ways. So we're now going to create a list of tasks and things to do to improve this area. Social media is a big way. So we're going to recommend that they create a weekly plan for social media posts. It should be intentional. They should also be using the key hashtags. For us, it'd be things like UCR and UC Riverside. They also should be posting frequently, so we recommend 2 times a week or more. At UCR, we use the Engage platform, but it's branded as Highlander Link, our mascot being a Highlander. So we recommend that they update that profile and maybe include pictures, news posts, and other things that they're maybe not doing now. If relevant, we also suggest that they connect with other campus departments. In this example, the group I assisted was focused on autism and students on the spectrum, so I recommended they connect with our Student Disability Resource Center, since they host neurodiversity socials. Your recreation center may help support sports clubs. Cultural departments may have ways to assist cultural organizations. You are the expert on what department might benefit a student org. Maybe there's weekly newsletters that departments send out or bulletin boards around campus they can post on. You can give them suggestions here. You can also list things like tabling fairs or even give them homework like watching videos or trainings you might have on recruitment. We turn this document into a PDF so it can include links straight to those trainings. We now move into more retention items. So we encourage this club to create committees in their club so new members can immediately get involved in something and feel a little bit more connected to the club. We also know that people join clubs to make connections with other people. So we encourage this group to also focus on socials and having opportunities to just spend time with each other. For a new club, this is a good start, and maybe things that they're not already doing. Your recruitment section might look different for a pre-existing group. So maybe more about holding members accountable if they volunteer to table at an event, or creating expectations that everyone should be recruiting, not just the recruitment chair. Purchasing items such as table covers or canopies might also fit in this category, if it made sense. The second example for this club is that they want to do educational events, teaching people about autism. The group had stated that they wished more staff and faculty were aware of what their students needed. So I added a bullet point to have them again connect with the Student Disability Resource Center to find out if those trainings even exist. If they do exist, can the club collaborate or support those trainings? If the trainings don't already happen, can the club offer them? The club also wanted to educate other students, so they have a task to brainstorm presentations they can offer, either generally or to specific student orgs. In our chat about their plan, the club was able to brainstorm a handful of pre-med clubs that may be especially interested in discussing autism. The club also expressed interest in presenting to the general community, maybe even in schools. So their job is to brainstorm potential partners and what that might look like. Contacting schools can get messy, so they should create a log of who they're reaching out to and if they're able to find solid contacts at the nearby schools. Sometimes they feel frustrated when someone like a principal doesn't respond. So they might have better luck finding staff that work directly with their students on the spectrum, and maybe start there. As advisors, we also know that additional training is needed to work with minors, so if they are going to be doing presentations, I gave them a task to start creating a training for their members on how to work with youth. Now we could create more bullet points, but the key is to find the things that you think make the most sense. So let's pretend I had just covered these 2 topics and these bullet points. What's next? So once I'm done with their blueprint, it may take a week, it may take a little bit more, a little bit less. When I'm ready, I then reach out to the group and say that I'm ready to chat. So we set up a meeting, either with the person that filled out the form or with potentially an entire executive board, or at least the officers that make sense. So, you and them would meet and look at the plan and go over each item because they may have revisions. They may tell you, we're already doing all those things, so you might need to go a little bit more in depth. They may tell you, there's certain things that they don't think they're going to do. They may look at the plan and say, hey, we decided not to do outreach with youth. And so you might remove those items and then figure out, well, what do we now put here? What else do you want to do? So this conversation is really looking at the plan and making sure that they are buying into the bullet points, right? That they can say, yes, those all look great. We're totally going to do it. We also have a second form that we ask them to fill out once we've accepted them into the Blueprint program and had that initial meeting with them. This form is used to evaluate where the group is now, and then we have them fill it out again at the end of the year to compare performance metrics. We ask them to rate a few areas from 1, poor, to 5, excellent. We ask them to rate their org's consistency with having general meetings, their consistency and quality of social media, their ability to retain people once they've attended a meeting, their use of campus funds, such as their funds allocated from our student government. We ask them to rate their ability to fundraise off campus, their ability to create unique and valuable events, and their history with setting and completing goals. We then ask them 2 questions about the club's constitution or bylaws. Do their officers know and understand this document? And do their members know and understand this document? We also ask how they'd rate their group's focus on community service, and then if they focus on outreach to K-12 or community college students, with the understanding that it's okay if their group does not prioritize these things. We just want to see if that metric changes over the course of the year. We finish the survey with asking how they rate their officers' ability to work together as a team and how confident they feel in holding officers accountable and delegating responsibility. Now that is a lot of questions, and that's why we wait until after we've met with them and they're in the program to then kind of give them all these questions, because if those questions were in the initial intake, it may scare groups away that we're actually interested. So we wait until they're bought in, and then we say, can you fill this out for us? And then, like I said, we'll have them complete the survey again at the end of the year to see if these things changed, hopefully based on the recommendations and action items that we gave them. In terms of assessment, we only have qualitative data so far, since our pilot year last academic year ended on quite a strange note with the beginning of the pandemic. So their results in spring likely would have shown downward trends in membership, events, and other factors that were not because of the program. Our student organizations enrolled this year at least have a similar starting and end place, so we might have a better idea if our suggestions actually paid off. Another challenge, and something that the assessment won't necessarily show, is that sometimes there are factors we can't fix, or factors that the group doesn't even realize are affecting them. For example, we might have a club that has a toxic president and keeps pushing officers out. They can improve on all the metrics we're tracking, but still see a negative impact because of these other factors. This Blueprint program can't fix everything. So that is pretty much what we do. We've seen good enough numbers for the first couple years to test this out. So again, we have 500 orgs, and this year we have about 15 clubs that are in the program, but that is 15 groups that you're meeting with on a quarterly or monthly basis to touch base with. So any more than that might start to become a burden on time. So we're happy with the numbers we have. And after this year wraps up, we'll actually have some solid assessments of if the program actually works. But I don't think it's hurting. I think groups are anxious to get that sort of advice and wisdom from us as advisors. And so I think offering some sort of venue to do that could totally be beneficial on your campus, big or small. I think there's opportunities there. So if you have any questions, I'm going to be leaving here right now and hopping over to a Zoom room. So hopefully some of you want to come chat or share what you do or ask questions. So I'll see you there, and thanks for watching. Thanks for tuning in to the Student Organization Summit. If you're watching this live, feel free to reference the schedule for the day and use the link in the schedule to access a Q&A room where you can ask questions or chat with the presenters from this workshop. If they didn't list a Q&A link, or you're watching this video after the event, thank you for your interest in the Student Organization Summit.